Hi YouTube, this is Boston Girl 5560, second video of the day, and basically it's my first review of one of the movies I liked on, well, it was a mini series on Netflix. I actually have been watching a lot, and this is just my first review I decided to do. I took a few notes. It was the Forsyte Saga. Now, it's a mini-series. I didn't know anything about it. Actually, when I was flipping through my Wii, I kept passing over it, and I thought I'd just give it a shot for 10 minutes, and then it kind of got me, you know. So, if you're not into, like, 18th century kind of dramas, like, Queen Elizabeth-ish, what is that? Something sisters, the Boleyn sisters, or Bowling Girls or whatever, or anything kind of Jane Austen-ish, you probably won't like this miniseries at all. But if you are into stuff like that, then you will like this, you know, this miniseries. It wasn't the best miniseries I ever seen. It wasn't like the Thornbirds. I don't know if anybody ever watched Thornbirds, but that was off the chain, you know. But it did have a good storyline. It did have a good plot. It was very interesting. And, you know, the twists and turns, it kind of reminded me of like a V.C. Andrews novel. Do you remember how V.C. Andrews had a lot of incest in it? Granted, there weren't incest like father-daughter situations or mother-son situations or uncle-niece situations. But there was definitely this version of what they'd call distant cousins, which I, you know, in my stream of things, I didn't think was distant enough to be dating. But okay. You know, it starts with this guy, Forsyte, and it's about this whole family or whatever, and they're rich, you know. So rich people think they got it like that and can buy and purchase and do whatever they want, right? Well, in the 18th century, white rich men could do that, you know. So he basically buys his wife, you know. He knows she don't love him, but that's cool, you know. I'm gonna give her everything she wants because I think she was beautiful or whatever. I thought she was kind of all right, but you know. So she has this flower in the sky version of what life should be like in the 18th century, right? But she's broke. So she's broke, so she marries dude. But she's like cold as ice with him. They even had like the sex scene that was just like him pumping away and her just sitting there looking crazy or whatever. And then she goes into the bathroom and kind of does this douche situation, you know. It was like this homemade douche thing. And I'll kind of find out later, so she didn't get pregnant by dude. I'm like, damn, you know, it was kind of ugly, right? So it's all about, but they weren't like the main characters. They were like one of the main topics going on. But I mean, it gets kind of dirty, you know, later on. And the funny thing is, his wife was named Irene. And you think of her like the innocent victim, but she done did her dirt like through the movie too, you know what I mean, through the miniseries. So I kind of was feeling bad for the underdog, you know what I mean, like the villain in this. Like her husband was considered the villain, but you know, he really thought that he should buy his wife should be bought and paid for, regardless if he was right or wrong. All he wanted was to be loved, and through the whole miniseries, it kind of felt bad for him, even though he was like this rotten dude, like that he just really wanted to be loved, and nobody really loved him. Nobody even really liked him, you know. And there's certain scenes when he's like crying and stuff, and you kind of feel bad for him. But I never really felt too bad for the wife, you know, just because of stuff she did. And I mean, she took one of the niece's husbands, like, I mean, that's some dirty dog shit. Like, you know, I wouldn't want her to be my girlfriend, you know, because she's only thinking of herself and what she could get from herself, you know. So it was like, it was good. And then it didn't end on a good note. See, I like those movies. It kind of ended on a realistic note, like, and I don't want to ruin it for you, but you know, there was times I did press the fast forward button. It was going kind of slow. I will admit, I didn't watch it verbatim, you know, and then I, you know, fast forward to, you know, things I found very interesting. But I think there was like, I watched it over 2 days, but it was pretty good. It was definitely pretty good. It was very soap opera-ish. I don't know if men would really like it, but it was a pretty decent miniseries. So if you're bored, not necessarily bored, but you're looking for something to watch and you're kind of into the 18th century situation, you know, of things that you find interesting. Like I do find those, I love those movies because those are like they are so ruthless. You know, them 18th century situations, cutting people's head off because they didn't, give birth to a boy, stuff like that. It just intrigues me. So I'm going to do my little 5-star, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. On plot, I give it a 3. It was interesting, but it wasn't really gripping. It didn't have me from the word go or whatever, but it had me a little intrigued. Actors, I'd give a 4. They were all really believable. I don't really know the dialogue of 18th century, but they had me convinced that that's where they were and what they were doing. And scene, I'd give it 4. Like, wherever they filmed really looked 18th century-ish or early 1900-ish. And that's my review. I consider it a pretty good watch. There's quite a few videos, but if you have Netflix streaming, you don't necessarily have to watch them all at the same time. But that's kind of one of the pluses I like about Netflix streaming. Like, you don't have to wait till next week to find out what happened. I don't like that. Well, I'll get into my ups and downs on Netflix streaming later, but I do feel that the Forsyte Saga is a good watch. Tell me what you think. Bye, YouTube.